Now let's look at 1a, solving inequality. So this is a single inequality. So this is your sec2 inequality. Okay. So in your sec2 inequality, just solve it as per normal. Anytime you get a denominator, you just multiply with the denominator. Now for inequality purposes, I would generally not recommend that. You're go and cross multiply, even though it's possible. Because sometimes it's hard to see whether or not you need to flip the sign and things like that. So you just multiply by the denominator to get rid of the denominator. And in this case, it's a positive value, so the sign doesn't need to be flipped. So multiply by 2 on both sides. You will get this. Okay, and then from here, you just expand. Bring the x to one side, so you will get 10x is more than -3, and therefore x is more than -3/10. Like that is 2 free marks. Next, it is given that a equals to 2n times n minus 3k. Find the value of a when n equals to 0.5 and k equals to -1.2. So a is equal to 2 times 0.5 bracket 0.5 minus 3 times -1.2. Obviously, the examiner is giving you 3 marks here. So when you press your calculator, please make sure you press correctly. So you will get 4.1. What you should do is to just press the entire string as you see it here into the calculator, inclusive of all the brackets. Then it should be fine. Next, express k in terms of a and n. So this is your making k the subject, which we learned in sec1, sec2 once again. So this is sec1, sec2 algebra. Okay. So the first thing you need to do here is to expand it. So a equals to 2n squared minus 6nk. So to make k the subject, you want to isolate the term that contains k. That is always what you do. So you move the term that contains k to the left side. In this case, just 6nk. And then you move whatever that does not contain k to the right side. So that gives you 2n squared minus 8. And therefore, you divide away the 6n, you get k equals to 2n squared minus a over 6n. There is nothing to simplify here. So don't simplify any further. Now, some of you will split this into 2 fractions. It's not wrong to split it into 2 fractions. It's just not necessary. Okay? If the question did not ask you to split into 2 fractions, you can just leave it as it is. Let's move on. But if you did split it into 2 fractions, you should get this up. Just so that you know. You will get n over 3 minus a over 6n. That is what you would get. But it's not necessary. Next. So this is a standard sec2 algebraic fraction, but you see that they ask you to give your solution to 2 decimal places. What does that suggest? Now, anytime you see this kind of fraction where your denominator is in terms of x for 2 terms, this is going to be an algebraic fraction that will simplify into a quadratic. You will simplify it into a quadratic for sure. All right, you need to be able to recognize these kind of equations. And that's why the question says 2 decimal places. So if it's a quadratic and it's 2 decimal places, then you know that you need to use quadratic formula. Some of you will instead do it by completing the square, which is also okay. But I think completing the square is a lot harder to do. So just do it by quadratic formula. So make sure you memorize your quadratic formula. Okay, so that's the hint given to you in the question. So this is actually Sec 3, Sec 2 algebraic fractions. But also Sec 3 quadratic because you need to use formula. If it's factorizable, that means it's Sec 2 purely. But in this case, because need formula, it's Sec 3. So to combine algebraic fractions, either you do cross multiplication method, which some of you prefer, or you just make denominators the same. So in this case, to make denominator the same, I need to multiply this by 2x plus 1. So the numerator here must also multiply by 2x plus 1. Okay, here I need to multiply by x minus 4. So here I must multiply by x minus 4. Now your 1, similarly, you will do the same thing. So your 1 will become this denominator, x minus 4, 2x plus 1, which means that to make back 1, your numerator and the denominator will be exactly the same. Remember that 1 as a fraction is just 1 out of 1. Okay? So this is what you should have. And then from here, now you can write out. So 3x times 2x plus 1. This is a plus, so you don't need any additional bracket. But if you write it in this form, you would have accounted for the bracket anyway. The point of doing this is to make denominators the same so that I can ignore the denominator, because your denominator on the left and your denominator on the right are now equal. You can ignore the denominator and just look at the numerator. Okay, that is the whole point of doing it this way. So that just gives you, now you can expand it. So 3x times 2x to give me 6x squared plus 3x plus 5x minus 20 equals to, your right hand side must also expand. So please make sure you expand correctly. This is your rainbow expansion. Draw the lines if you need to. So 2x squared plus x minus 8x minus 4. So this is what you should simplify it down to. And then from here, move all the terms to one side. You always want to keep your x squared positive. So in this case, you move everything to the left so that your x squared remains positive. You will end up with 4x squared plus 15x minus 16 equals to 0. So this is how you form your quadratic equation. And once you get here, you can now apply a quadratic formula. X equals to negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. For O-level requirements, E-Math, you are required to simplify the surd, what is underneath the square root. So negative 15 plus minus. So press your calculator, you will get 15 squared minus 4 times negative 16. So that gives you 481 out of 8. So the examiners want to see this step. And then from here, you can just finalize it using your calculator. So you get two solutions. Therefore, x equals to, press your calculator, negative 15. You press your plus first, square root 481. Then the whole thing. If you forgot to press the fraction symbol first, you just put it in bracket. Then now you can press your fraction symbol. Out of 8. So you will get 0.86. Now read the question. They want 2dp, not 3sf. So 87. Or now you just go back to your calculator and then you just change the sign to a negative instead. negative 4.62 dp. So the question here already gives you 2 blanks, so you should know that there are 2 solutions. Okay, then if you look here, this is just a standard quadratic using formula and it's 5 marks. Tells you that it's very, very important to know how to do this kind of standard questions. In any case, you will see a lot of these kind of questions in terms of word problems. Sometimes they test this using word problems. They make you form the algebraic fraction, then from the algebraic fraction, you go on to solve as a word problem in quadratic. Okay, very common concept that's tested every year. Make sure you know what to do and make sure you memorize your quadratic formula.